After enduring the devastating loss of loved ones and all that was dear to him, a soldier withdrew from society, choosing a reclusive existence. Over time, fate brought him into contact with two exquisite lynxes, forging a profound bond between them. However, the tranquility was abruptly shattered when an event of profound shock and unfathomable nature unfolded before them. A man named Justin was driving home from a business trip on the other side of the country. The arduous journey was nearing its end, with only an hour or two remaining until his final destination. The trip had been rather uneventful for Justin so far, until he spotted a figure in the distance along the long straight road. As he approached, it became evident that it was a hitchhiker seeking a ride. Justin, feeling a surge of generosity, pulled over and inquired about the hitchhiker's destination, coincidentally finding out that they were headed to the same city. With the hitchhiker, named Eric, now seated in the car, the two embarked on their shared journey. Justin was pleased to have the company, while Eric expressed gratitude for the lift. As they drove along, their conversation touched upon various topics, including the experiences Eric had encountered during his time in the army. He had served overseas for numerous years, engaging in battles of all kinds. Eric had witnessed unimaginable events during his service, and the mere thought of reuniting with his wife, Nicole, provided solace during the long, perilous nights. They used to exchange heartfelt letters, expressing their deep love and anticipation for each other. However, as time passed, the frequency and romantic nature of Nicole's letters diminished. One fateful day, Eric received the news that Nicole had divorced him and married a mutual friend. Initially skeptical, Eric rushed home to confirm the truth. It was only when he saw Nicole with his friend that the reality sunk in. Though the situation was difficult to bear, Eric couldn't harbor much anger, as their lives had drifted apart on opposite sides of the world. It was very difficult to be married to a soldier that was constantly serving overseas. Quitting the army, Eric tried to find something to fill the void left by Nicole. He traveled to various parts of the world, worked on an oil rig and several ships, and even found jobs on various construction sites. But nothing made him feel better. He was lonely as a man could be. He eventually found himself a small wooden cabin and hid himself away. Over the years, Eric's hair grew long and gray. His beard became scraggly and unkempt, and he was almost unrecognizable. Eric started to farm the land around his cabin, growing his own food, and never having to venture into town or come into contact with other people. He was just happy living in his own unhappiness, and if a medical professional had ever taken a look at him, they would have discovered that he was indeed in a deep state of depression. His wife had divorced him, and his family had shunned him for his decision to retreat into the woods. Eric had lost everything and everyone near and dear to him, and was in a very bad place. His work was the only thing that kept him going. As well as farming the land, he eventually became a gamekeeper for the nearby forest. This job suited him, and he could keep being reclusive and stay away from people, while being out in nature and enjoying the local wildlife while he was depressed and felt like the entire world had turned its back on him. Eric really did throw himself into his job, caring for the animals, tracking them, documenting them, and helping them when they were in need of assistance. One day, though, while out in the forest, Eric heard a strange noise. He didn't know what it was, but he was sure he'd never heard it before. Eric set off in search of the source and found it several feet from him. It was a lynx trapped in a cruel device. Its leg was clearly broken, and the animal was in a lot of pain. Just as he was about to run over and help, he spotted someone coming out of the trees towards the lynx. A man with a gun walked up to the animal and quickly put it out of its misery. Before Eric could even say no, the man then opened up the trap, picked up the corpse, and walked off without even blinking. Eric was distraught, but he couldn't do anything about it. Hunting was not prohibited in those woods. He was about to turn and walk away back to his cabin when he heard a small noise. He looked down to see two tiny lynx cubs, clearly the children of the poor, unfortunate lynx that had just been killed. They looked very hungry and thin, and so Eric had to make a choice. He could either help the cubs and provide them with what they needed or leave them to fend for themselves in the wild. Eric knew what he had to do, so he picked them up and gently carried them back to his cabin, where he fed them and gave them water and milk to drink. It turned out that he was quite adept at looking after lynx cubs. Over the following weeks, he cared for them and made sure that they were growing big and strong. He watched as they ran and played in his yard and would let them curl up and sleep in front of the fire in his cabin. They unwittingly became his pets, and if Eric was being honest with himself, he really enjoyed their company. Quite the strange attitude for a supposed recluse. Eric's daily walks with the lynxes in the forest became a cherished routine, lasting months and eventually transforming into years. Though Eric's healing journey had progressed, he still bore the weight of his past. However, a pivotal day would forever change his life, all thanks to the lynxes. As they strolled along happily, the day began like any other. Suddenly, a group of hungry wolves descended upon them, having likely been trailing Eric and his lynxes. Eric, seized by terror, believed this would be his final hour. Defenseless against the pack, he prepared for the worst. But in a breathtaking twist, Eric's lynxes leaped into action, fiercely and fearlessly confronting their assailants. With unmatched ferocity, they launched a relentless assault, fighting not only for their survival, but also to protect Eric. The battle raged on, harsh and unforgiving, until the attackers were vanquished, defeated. Overwhelmed with joy and gratitude, Eric's heart sank as he beheld the state of his loyal lynxes. Covered in blood, bearing scars, and in excruciating pain, both limped toward him, softly whimpering before collapsing at his feet. Eric knelt down, cradling them, assuring them that everything would be all right. As tears welled up in his eyes, Eric whispered quietly, expressing his profound love and gratitude to the lynxes before they peacefully ceased to breathe and slipped away into eternal rest. They had sacrificed their lives to save him, and he would forever hold them in his heart. The act of burying the courageous lynxes ignited a transformation within him. Eric was immensely thankful for their heroism, and the void left by their absence would be felt each passing day. Yet, amidst the sorrow, something positive emerged from their sacrifice. Eric realized the brevity of life and acknowledged that he had been wasting it through his reclusive existence. Perhaps he had been the one isolating himself from others, though he wasn't entirely sure. What he did know was that he needed to make amends. With newfound determination, Eric embarked on a journey back to his hometown, hitchhiking the entire way. Thus, Eric brought his story to a close. During this closing chapter, he noticed Justin, the attentive driver, listening intently as they continued their journey. Justin had never anticipated encountering such a captivating and poignant tale when he picked up the hitchhiker on the side of the road. In his own way, Justin was grateful to become a small part of Eric's narrative, assisting him in rediscovering his path and taking steps towards reclaiming what he had lost. Now it's your turn to share your thoughts on this remarkable and poignant tale. What are your impressions of the story? Would you have shown compassion for the vulnerable lynxes, and how would you have responded when they came forward to protect you? We invite you to share your opinions in the comments section below. Thank you.